And win 2-1 under a beautiful sunset sky. We've got your likes and dislikes. We've got Town in 60. And of course, we have got your spotlight as we look at the game from yesterday in a lot more detail. It's Talking Town and it's live right now. Hello again, friends, and you are my friends. Welcome to your live Talking Town. It is, of course, Friday. I nearly forgot completely what day we were on. It was Friday. It's 6 minutes past 8. We're starting late. We've been talking backstage, and we just couldn't stop. So hopefully we'll bring those same vibes right now live to you, wherever you're watching this. And if you're watching on catch-up, FTA, comment for that algorithm. As Higgy says, only 6 minutes late. Well, although she actually adds, well done, Martin. Cheers, Higgy. I'll take that. Well, that wasn't my fault. Wasn't my fault. We were talking about the game and one of Lee's likes and dislikes. Although he wasn't quite sure whether it was a like or a dislike, but we'll get into that throughout the course of the game. Don't forget, we are partnered with Match Bingo and Stowmarket Osteopaths. We'll hear more about those as we go on. And you can subscribe to the channel totally free of charge if you're brand new here. If you're not new here and you haven't yet subscribed, come on. New Year's, new resolution. Hit the subscribe button. It is totally free and it helps us to continue growing. If you're a member here, you've got some lovely member-only videos coming your way. You've got team ratings already out. You've got Lambert's Tactics truck that is on the way to you after this show, and our trending up, trending down, where I look at some players who I feel are trending up and trending down. Maybe my mind will be changed throughout the course of today. I'm joined by Lee, who is, of course, our resident Oasis superfan, and Matt, our resident media mogul. We're going to start, as we always do, with our Town in 60 seconds. Very easy, very simple. It's your 60 seconds, uninterrupted, but you may have some comeback from other people on the show or our live chat, depending on what you might say. It can be a praise, a rant, a question. You can go into how much you love Kieran McKenna, how much you love the team, whatever it might be. It's your 60 seconds. I want to hear it right now. I'll start with you, Lee. I normally start with Matt, but I'm going to start with you. Don't look so scared. Don't look so worried. You're okay. You can do it. We all know you've been practicing in front of the bathroom mirror this afternoon. Don't worry. You're good. So 60 seconds are yours on the clock. Away you go.
This is how it should be. The main act should follow the warm-up act. So I'm always the warm-up act. So that's great. Yeah, so yesterday, first of all, another 3 points. We're marching onwards and upwards. Trust the process. Trust the process. I still have not seen a team play at Portman Road or away from home that will finish above us this season. I keep saying that. I mean, Coventry may well do because they've got the extra points, but I've not seen a team where I've gone, oh, do you know what? They're going to be better than us. I've just not seen it. First half, we should have been out of sight. Philogene goal. Let's not forget the Davis overlap because he sells the defender a kipper, but then as the defender looks to go to close Philogene down, Davis runs down the outside and he stops and he has a resigned look on his face and he knows where the ball's going and it's too late. So fantastic goal. Should have taken, we should have been, if we'd have got the second goal, that would have been 5 or 6 because they were labouring. They scored. They took their goal really well. Cajuste, who was fantastic, got caught with the ball on the halfway. Davis is flying up the pitch. There's a big gap. They get through, score. He took his goal well, but we recovered. We're managing the games much better than we were 3 months ago. Right. And that's a like. Have I done my 60 seconds?
You have. Well and truly. A nice little opener, though. And you've not exactly helped Matt here by heaping the pressure on and saying the main act follows the warm-up. So, Matt, you've also got 60 seconds. And I agree with you, Lee, in the sense of that Jaden Philogene goal. I'm going to unpack that in a lot more detail. It was also the underlap from Leif Davis originally, which got Jaden in as much space and then weren't as effective in those moments as we probably should have been. But we won it back, which was really good. Matt, your 60 seconds are on the clock. Away you go.
Philogene to score first. Where did you hear that? This very show.
You did.
We said that, didn't we, Martin?
You did.
Look, whenever he's got the ball on the left-hand side of the box, you think he's going to score, don't you? And again, he does exactly. I mean, nearly all of his goals have been replicas of each other down that end, haven't they? It's always to the keeper's left. just fantastic. And I agree with Lee. I had the pleasure of Beard. ITFC Beard was sat next to me yesterday. Very thank you to David Nichols, who volunteered his ticket over to George. And George said he thought we'd win 3-1, and he was very close to getting that, I think. But it could have been more. It could have been 4, 5, 6 had we managed to capitalise on that opener from Philogene. But we're now in second. Big question, Lee, is how do we stay there? How do we stay in second? It's taken ages to get there, hasn't it? How do we cement that now? Us and Coventry at the top. And I do feel like I was saying to Colin earlier, well, Colin said to me, he feels like we can still catch them. I hope we can, because we want to lift that iconic trophy at Portman Road in May. That's what we want to do.
Excellent. As Mark does remark on your very long minute, but I gave him extra time because I wanted to hear what he had to say in regards to what he was talking about. Jamie says Coventry won't get promoted. We will win the league. Huge love to David for obviously sorting that ticket out for Beard, who I'm sure was very good company. Shame it to sit with you though, Matt. I'm sure he'll look elsewhere for his tickets next time.
Yeah, never mind. Yeah.
I've got a question early in the chat before I do my thoughts, which aren't very long. They never are. But it's from Sean, who says, I think Sean's just dreaming here. I think he goes on in the chat to say he's dreaming a little bit. He says, £20 million offer for Josh Sargent with a $5 million add-on if we get promoted, as they'll need the money in League One. Obviously, a little bit tongue-in-cheek towards the end there. Look, I don't think that's ever going to happen ever again in my lifetime, just based on how the Nunez transfer went down and played out and continues to play out for them every time he plays for us. Matt, but let's live in Sean's dream bubble for a moment. $20 million offer for Josh Sargent with $5 million add-ons. A, is that enough? And B, is that the type of player that you'd be targeting in the January window?
Well, you've always, I mean, since Talking Town started in the guise that it is now, you've always liked Josh Sargent, haven't you? And thought he would be a decent player for Town. And he certainly does tick all the boxes for a 9. We ain't got to worry about it anymore anyway. Chuba, it's on fire. But I'm not sure I'll be paying $20 million for Josh Sargent, quite frankly. But who knows where he might end up? Is he going to go to the American World Cup squads playing in Norwich in the relegation zone? I'm not sure. You might see him move on, whether or not he'd come. I'm not sure we can go to the well again for another transfer.
No, I think it's dry.
That well is dry. That well is dry, filled in with cement, and that we're going to need some sort of drill. That's going to be more than a drill. That drill costs more than 20 million. That doesn't.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think we've lucked out with Nunez, and maybe we should keep it there. But I mean, look, I like the imagination of it all, and maybe in another world he would have joined us, just not from Norwich City. No, I agree. As you know, big fan of Josh Sargent. Okay, my 60 seconds is quite simple. Obviously, Lee, you mentioned trust the process. There were some fans earlier in the season, perhaps doubting that process, or certainly talking about what needed to change at Ipswich Town to get us more consistent and to get us moving towards the common goal of promotion. And then, of course, now, inevitably, when the results change and the league table starts to take the shape that it's taken, you get those that say, and those that didn't trust the process, where were you? How could you? How dare you? But I actually think both camps are correct. Those that wanted change primarily wanted a more consistent lineup, wanted more consistency in the play, and they're getting it now from Kieran McKenna. Look at the two centre-halves. They've barely changed over the last month. That was a big bugbear of many Town fans, that constant revolving door at left side of the centre-half position. And I feel those two players, O'Shea and Kit Pray, now playing together more often, are forming a really solid foundation with Matt Seawar in front of them, in which Town can go on and win games 2-1 or manage games in a lot better situation. So I don't see it as they were wrong, they were right, I was wrong, you were wrong, whatever. I see it as some fans wanted some things to change. Those some things have changed. Yesterday had 4 changes, but it had 4 changes through various different things, like a striker. You've got a striker shortage. You want to try and rotate that position. Leif Davis came back in unwell. It was only 1 or 2 real changes I felt you could have said were unforced, and that was your left side and your central midfield player. But your left side really was forced because he's your best player at home. That's my 60 seconds, just to open the show. Thoughts on that one? Oh, well, I would say trust the process has got different context depending on what division we're in.
True.
It's easy to trust the process when you're playing the likes of Oxford or, misfiring Sheffield United in the second tier. What's the process like if we get back, and hopefully we do, we get back into the Premier League? Look at Sunderland. Now, I said on this show, I thought they'd go down with the record amount of points. They've proved me wrong right there. And will the Ipswich Town process have learned what we did last season, where we went down with a whimper And we both said that on there, didn't we, Mike? We said it in the car park.
We did.
Outside the car park stand, didn't we? Or after West Ham. So what have we learned in order to trust that process? Should we get back into the Premier League? It's easy to trust the process, I think, Lee, at this level with our squad.
Yeah, I think that's a fair challenge. But what I would say on that is that we've now been in the Premier League, and the I guess the narrative to come out of the club is we got there early and we didn't have that. But I agree with your point around Sunderland, for example. I mean, were the team that went up, did they have it? Were their players any better than what we had when we went up? I would say no. I think the club had put their hands up and said, look, did we get the recruitment right? Probably not. Did we get the right type of player? Did we have the scouting network in place? I think trust in the process still means to me is that, yes, we're trying to get out. We've got this model. We're trying to develop it. It's a long-term, investment. And it can be a cop-out because you can put your hands up and have a bad season, say, well, we're 2 years ahead of where we should be. You've got to play the season and be judged on that season. But in the context of a, trust in the process, if we go to the and I'm still an if, we go to the Premier League, the players that we have at the club now, at this time, player for player, are better. I don't care what people say, and anyone can come and challenge me on it, are better than the Championship side that finished second. Now, are they a better team? That's still to be decided. That race is still to be run. And I said on here several weeks ago, you don't win the London Marathon by leading the London Marathon when you run round the Cutty Sark at 5 miles. You win the London Marathon when you cross the line at the finish. And I think we're starting to see that. And with Coventry, for example, I mean, they've got a lot of points on the board. But Leicester, I think 2 years ago, were in a similar position, weren't they? It felt like us and Leeds were fighting it out for that second space. Although Leicester won the league in the end, I think there was something like a 2 or 3 point gap at one point. But they had enough. They had enough momentum to get them over the line. So I think trust in the process. I agree. You've got to look at it in different ways, but ultimately, when we next get to the Premier League, if we don't survive that first season, then the process has failed. At that point, that's what I would say.
Still got to get there. There's an awful lot of games left to be played. And now, of course, we are, though, chasing down Coventry. You've chased down Middlesbrough. They'll still be with us. They're still looking, we've got to look over our shoulder for them, but we have chased them down. Paul says moot point. I think we could do a lot better than obtaining a 9 than Sargent. Pete also says no to Sargent. The striker will show some real form between now and May. Joe said, should we go in for loser from Watford as a midfield option? Absolutely. We should. I absolutely loved watching him play for Watford when they were down here on a Tuesday night.
Coming to us, is it? They're on our tail now. They're only 3 points behind us.
I know, but he was tremendous. He was tremendous. You mentioned, that, and we'll go into our flashpoints in a moment. But Lee mentioned, he says, pound for pound, individual. He thinks we've got a better players now, but are they a team? And of course, you're seeing little rumblings now on social media because Sam Morsey has signed for Bristol City, and Bristol City are on the fixture card coming up very soon. I know that. I've done the artwork for the match preview and the Town podcast show, so I know it's very soon. And of course, you're seeing the battle of the midfield fives, which will be, should he not be suspended by that point, Azor Matasiwa and Sam Morsey. And I'm one, if Morsey does, of course, play, they've got two very good midfield players at Bristol City themselves. But if he does play, I'm kind of looking forward to it, because I think Matasiwa is head and shoulders.
Well, let's ask a very good point. And let's ask everyone in the comments, who would you prefer as our number 5, Morsey or Matasiwa? Well, Matasiwa got the man of the match in the stadium, didn't he, yesterday? And he played very well. Tough man, wore short sleeves, no gloves. in that weather.
He's your midfield enforcer, Matt. Of course he's a tough man.
I had about 15 layers on, which suggests to me, Martin, you had about 20 or 30.
I had
Michelin man.
I had lots and an electric gilet, and I was still.
Of course. Did that keep you warm? Did that keep you warm?
No, it did not. No, it did not. No. If you watch back on the match reaction show from the car, you can actually still see it on me, and it's on because it's got my top right shoulder is bright red from where it's still on, and I was still absolutely freezing. As Mark says, Matasiwa. Shabby says easy. Matasiwa. George Beard says Azor all day. Paul, Matasiwa, everyone's saying Matasiwa, as they should. And honestly, I've only just started doing what I'm affectionately calling Lambert's Tactics Truck, which is a little video I do looking at different parts of the game.
Yeah.
But I could do a whole half an hour on just Matasiwa and just completely and utterly go into his game and speak how highly, because I just love watching him play. He's my type of midfield player, and he's my type of player where he's here, he's there, and he's everywhere. Love him.
Because like he finished the French season, I think it was Stade Rennes. I would get Reims and Rennes muddled up. I think it was Stade Rennes he come from. But he wasn't playing, was he? Who was, or even at the start of this season? I mean, who was keeping him out of the side?
Go and get him. Go and sign him as well. Go and sign him as well, whoever it may be. All right, let's break it in.
Just on him. Wasn't it like I'm sure he mentioned in one of his interviews that I don't think his family was settled. So I think he had we have to remember they're all human beings, and he was talking about his family getting settled. I think he's had 3 moves. Was it something like 3 houses here or something?
3 houses.
But he needs his family to be settled. If your family behind you is not settled, then you're going into work a worried person. So I think he's had, so I perhaps he wasn't settled in France. He's got that settled now. As long as the family are happy, he's going to keep playing really, really well. I just think we mustn't forget what Morsey did for the club. And I've had this with Cruncher. I've had this conversation with Cruncher on social media. He says Sam Morsey, Matasiwa can't lace his boots. I mean, I'm not sure about that, but we judging Sammy Morsey.
He says what?
He's judging Sammy Morsey on 3 seasons at Portman Road. If you remember, Matasiwa's only done 6 months, so it's really difficult to compare. So where I try to compare it is, where was Sam Morsey after 6 months to where Matasiwa are? Now, when Morsey started, his head wasn't around the club properly. He's admitted that himself. His football wasn't in the right place.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until McKenna arrived that it sparked his love for football again. But that was a bit later in the season. So I think if you went back and looked at Morsey's contribution for the first 6 months or the first half of the season and Matasiwa, there is absolutely no comparison. But that's taken nothing away from what Sammy Morsey did for this club from when McKenna's been here. An absolute true legend. So I just wanted to mention that. But that's the take on it.
Yeah, I do agree with you on that one, Lee. And I think me and Bede were chatting about this yesterday. What you do miss from Morsey is the leadership in the middle of the park, where I think if you still had that, maybe we'd have turned, I don't know, the 2-1 against Oxford into a 2-2 or something. Maybe you would have got something out of that game.
You got no basis to say that.
And you don't get any goals from Matasiwa, do you? He's not going to chip in with 3, 4, 5 like Morsey did.
Yeah.
How many did Morsey score after the first half of the season?
Yeah, good point.
He doesn't look like. To be fair, he doesn't look like a goal. He doesn't. He's running forward yesterday. He doesn't. He gets there and he thinks, he's better player than that. But you just think Morsey would, like the Leicester game. He said himself, didn't he? The one where he scored the couple of goals, but the deflection one at home. I got into position. I just thought I'll just take a crack and see what happens. I don't think you get that with Matasiwa. It might have been his shot actually that nearly hit me in the Sir Bobby Robson upper. I'm not sure. Someone in the chat, I'm sure, will remember the one that cleared the first tier of Sir Bobby Robson.
Look, no wonder I'm getting confused with Reims and Rennes, whether or not which one was which. He's actually played for both. Just looked it up.
There you go.
There we go. Yeah.
You can absolutely have a conversation about Matasiwa and about Morsey, and you don't have to, disrespect one or the other. I think Morsey obviously has got his place in town history, and rightfully so. He led this club from a position that it should never have been in, and when he left, it was it left it in a much, much better position. A good man, a good captain, a good player. But I do often say the leadership point that Matt made there, I feel was overblown. I feel the leadership point has not been raised in the last month because the results have turned. And the more those results turn around and the more we continue, we hope, this charge up the league table, the less that leadership point of view or conversation.
Was Millwall away a good result? In isolation,
we never lost a game under Sam Morsey. We never lost a game under Sam Morsey.
Oh, no, I get that.
Exactly. So I just, Joe, to say we would turn an Oxford 2-1 away defeat into a draw, I just feel it's a little bit, maybe, but I don't see it. I don't see it necessarily. But that's just my opinion of it.
No one was positive after Millwall. It's only the commentary game that's got everyone saying.
I was positive. I was fairly positive. I was fairly positive. But anyway, it's by the by. Both good players. I just think Matt Seawell is a better player in terms of his positional.
I agree. I agree with that. I think Matt Seawell is looking great. If you combine him with Molesley's leadership, you'd be in a great position. And shots at goal, you'd have a fantastic play there. But he's been great for us, Matt Seawell, in the last few games. Really good.
Agreed. All right, flashpoints time. Here we go. In association with Match Bingo. Don't forget, we have partnered with Match Bingo to give you a 100% deposit bonus when you use the word town, all in caps. Deposit minimum is £10, and whilst bonus cash can't be withdrawn, the winnings absolutely can be. So get that 100% deposit bonus, both in the word town, all in caps. Play Match Bingo, win cash prizes. Over 18s only. T&Cs apply. Please gamble responsibly. Visit begambleaware.org for more information should you need to. Play Match Bingo by scanning the QR code on the screen next to their logo, or click the link in our description and it'll take you where you need to get to. Right, flashpoints. First of all, the opening goal. Jaden Philogene doing Jaden Philogene things. Out wide on the left, coming inside. Great goal. I was up out of my seat before it even the back of the net, Lee. I just knew the moment the ball was in that area with Jaden Philogene, it was going to be a goal all afternoon long. Talk us through that, because you've got various points you could start with. You've got the Jens Kajust tackle on the edge of the 18-yard box. It wins it back. You've got Leif Davis's movement. 30's inside, then he's outside. You've got Akpom's movement. You could start wherever you want to start with that goal. But talk us through it from your point of view and who you felt was instrumental, etc., in that moment.
Well, I think we've lost the ball. We've got into that area and it's all a bit congested. We've tried to get the ball into Philogene. It's not really worked. They've come away with it. But Kajus, who apparently can't tackle, has done a Matasiwa on that player, whoever that was. He's got his leg around, he's got his heel on the ball, and he's won it cleanly. And what I will say, the game has really changed this season. The referees seem to be more lenient with people just falling on the floor. I reckon back 3 years ago, that tackle would have probably been blown up for a foul. That's one of the positives about where the football's going now. People are falling on the floor, and the referees are just letting the game go. And I'm all for it. But actually, when you look back at it, it was a great tackle. He gets the ball into Philogene. He's trying to work his position. He finally wrong foots the defender. But as the defender then starts to pull to Philogene, Leif Davis just bombs down the outside and he stops because he thinks he's going to give the ball to Davis. And then there's a split second when you watch it back on a video and he's thinking, oh God, what we've done. Because he probably knows. They've probably sat down in the meetings before the game and said, don't let Philogene have the ball there. And particularly, don't let him have it at his feet where he can get the ball out of his feet, because all his goals have come where he's moved the ball onto his right foot. Well, he has had a left foot as well, but he's managed to hit him striking a clean ball where he's pushed it out in front of him. He's, it's like a golfer hitting a driver off the tee straight down the centre. You know exactly where that's going to go, and that's what he's done. And he's put it low into the corner. Fantastic goal. But let's not underestimate that little bit of time that Leif Davis made, because you can see him coming. You can see Leif Davis coming. He's thinking, what do I do? If Leif Davis doesn't move, then that defender comes out and puts a bit of pressure onto Philogene, and he scores a lovely goal. That's simple.
You called it on the match preview show, Matt. You said Jaden Philogene would be on the score sheet, and he was. You've got some fantastic movement within that, but of course the equaliser comes also through sort of Jens Kajust being sloppy on the ball, and I've featured it in my tactics video, and he's got a couple of options, but he decides to take a touch or two, and then that draws the Oxford press to him, and he's again got any routes forward cut off, and he just sort of puts his foot on the ball, and Oxford nip in, and away they go. And of course, from there, there's still an awful lot to do. It's still 2v2 in terms of two attackers, two centre halves, and a ball carrier, which Matt Seawell was chasing down. But the number 10 for Oxford just does a delightful little spin, a little turn, plays in Will Lancashire.
That's what killed us. That back heel. The back heel is what gives them the goal, doesn't it?
Delightful. But it that hurts us. But it all comes about through just being sloppy on the ball in terms of Jens Kajust. And you don't want to focus on the negative, but it came to a goal. So for all his good work, that one moment obviously is not something you want to see again.
Yeah, no, I get that. Some people like seeing in the comments there, people saying, "Oh, like Joe says here, because Tuesday looked absolute cinema for 60 minutes, just like I thought he would in the Championship." And then we had other people at the statue of us yesterday thinking he was, not all that. You was a bit like that, weren't you, Martin? Yesterday, you didn't think Tuesday had a great game for you?
Yeah, I would struggle to say 60 minutes like Joe has there. I'd say Kajus looked cinema for big periods. I thought yesterday he looked cinema for big periods. My issue with Jens Kajus is it's well spoken. I've spoken about it many times. My issue is I want to see those cinema moments over longer periods of the game. This is theoretically a step down for Jens Kajus.
Yeah,
I want to see him take over a game for longer than, let's go with Joe's 60 minutes here. I want to say, okay, let's start with 70 minutes and then we'll go to 8. He's not going to control the whole game, but I want to see it more.
For me, you've answered your own question now. I think it was too easy for him yesterday. I said that to Beard. The reason Matasiwa looked so good yesterday was he was given loads of space in that midfield from that Volks and what was that other lad's name? De Keersmacher, I think it was in the middle. I think it was too easy for them. And I think Tuesday was coasting really, which then puts you in a comfort zone. And then, of course, he does get robbed on the left-hand side in front of you. And Leif Davis ain't nowhere to be seen. As they start the attacks, he's as we saw last season, he's bombed it down to the corner flag, I think. And he left us slightly exposed there, didn't it? But, as I say, the lad doing the back heel on the edge of the box that puts up Lancashire, sets him up. Maybe Walton could have done better. He's not a bad striker.
He should have done better.
He's a good player, that Lancashire. He's on loan from Spurs, isn't he? He's got 6 goals. He's got 6 goals there already in a relegation team. I mean, you might look at him and think, could he do something for us? Maybe a bit too young, 20, whatever. But
I signed him, by the way. I signed him.
Yeah, have you?
Football manager. Yeah, he did nothing. Absolutely nothing for me.
Well, he was at West Bromwich Albion last season, and Crystal will tell you, he didn't score there either. But, maybe he's found a bit of a home at Oxford. Who knows? But it was annoying because, as I say, we're coasting, we're in a comfort zone. Suddenly we make a mistake. Yeah. And again, it won't take too much for a team to score against Ipswich, really. But I do think the back heel is the sucker punch. The back heel on the edge of the box there from Crastev was the sucker punch that sets up Lancashire and he scores. Luckily, it didn't cost us anything, but
no,
we do throw these in, don't we? We do throw these moments in.
We really do. And it's amazing how quickly the space changes just by that extra touch or two that Jens Kajus takes, because he's got 3 options ahead of him: Leif Davis, Jaden Philogene, and Matasiwa coming across the field to join. And he just takes up 1 or 2 extra touches, which then means the Oxford players arrive on the scene, cut off the avenues of passing. He's only got 1 available ball to me, and I've said it in my tactics video. It's back to Kipre, doesn't take it, another touch, loses the ball, and then away they go. But you're right, it doesn't end up costing us a game, Lee, because we go on to score the second goal, which is through an amazing overlap from Darnell Furlong. Something we've spoke about us 3 on this show needing to add to his game, and now back-to-back games he's added to it, and back-to-back games they've come to something fruition. This time it's a goal, and Akpom gets his goal in the striking position. And someone in the chat earlier asked, does that goal mean we're going to see Akpom up front more often? Does that buy him perhaps another start up the top? How did you see Chuba's performance, Lee? Because I like Matasiwa, I probably could have done a whole show on just Chuba Akpom in my tactics video, because I thought Chuba was just brilliant with his movement yesterday.
Yeah, he offers something slightly different in the front row, doesn't he? I mean, just on the goal, and it plays into maybe the way Akpom plays, is that I thought we went a little bit more direct yesterday. I thought we mixed it up a little bit better against a team that plays a low block, and we struggled when the ball is played into feet and everybody comes short. All the space, and you can contribute that in some way to the way Kajus was facing the wrong way when the ball comes in and all that sort of stuff a little bit. But I think we looked a lot better trying to play the ball over turn the defence, play off the second ball. They all drop off. The many times we were picking up the second ball, that was it was more noticeable than just trying to play through all the time. If you mix it up, the defenders have to drop off, which gives the space for Matasiwa and Kajust to be able to run through. And that's caused because Akpom can run in behind, and he's a threat in behind. Yeah. So those defenders have to think, I've got to drop off. I've got to drop off. So I think there's the contribution there and the tactics there of him dropping off. I just think he's he's got really good movement. He looks natural in the way he moves. He's good on the eye. He's an athlete, isn't he? Yep. He's an athlete, and he just looks, he's not pondering around. Doesn't mean he's any quicker. If you put him like next to George Hurst, they're probably as quick. I mean, George Hurst is deceptively quick, but the way you look at him, the way he runs and that, just his physique and that, you just feel Akpom just a bit more of he's a bit more of a tuned sort of athlete than others. So I'd like to, I thought he had a good game yesterday, and and his contribution off the ball, he worked really hard as well. And he took his goal well. And I've said on this show before that we haven't got a striker that will get you the 1-0 wins. That goal he scored yesterday was the goal of a striker that gets you 1-0 wins.
Yeah.
Now, whether he's the player to take us forward to the end of the season, we may debate that later. But that was that sort of goal. I know Hurst has scored something like that, but I just think that's Akpom's game. I think he's a bit more of a fox in the box. I mean, the other striker's gone up my head now.
Azon
wouldn't have scored that.
Possibly not. No.
Azon wouldn't have scored that yesterday. I don't think.
Look, James says I still think we need to sign another striker, but I'd give Akpom a run. And James is not wrong, Matt. I do obviously still believe we need another striker, but the only person Lee says there is this a player we're going to take forward into the season in that position. The only person who can change that or answer that question really will be Chuba Akpom whenever he's given the opportunity to be that man, as he was yesterday. And look, Oxford in the bottom three, got to give a lot of respect to your opponents, and they had moments. We'll come to the moment in the second half shortly, but he did his job yesterday, Chuba Akpom. And if you look at Jens Kajus, we spoke about him a second ago, when he had that moment in the first half where he turns inside the midfield, breaks forward and unleashes a shot towards the Oxford goal. Chuba Akpom helps make that moment because his movement goes into a channel run, which then drags the defender with him, which leaves a whole more space in front of Jens Kajus, who can then go into it and exploit it. And the goal itself, his initial run is obviously towards the goal, indicating he wants a ball played across the 6-yard box. But then very cleverly, Matt, he checks his run, opens his body up, and the centre-half's momentum takes him so much further away than Chuba, buys himself 2, 3, 4 yards of space, and it's a good finish. It's a really good team goal as well. I'm sure you've seen it on social media. It's from back to front. It's the McKenna style. It's the Town style of the championship year we were promoted. Just everything about that goal, I absolutely love. I love it.
Yes, but it was a great finish because you had said you wanted to see more of Darnell Furlong moving forward, hadn't you? Yep. In the tactics strike video, you saw that. Don't underestimate the pass from Nunes, by the way. I think it was Egley into Nunes, the little touch. That's what they're missing at Carrow Road now. It's one in the bottom three. Little touch into Furlong, sets him into the box, and actually the finish was one that we were kind of lamenting that we've not seen too much this season, which is one of the reasons why McAtee hasn't got any assists, because every time he puts them balls in, there's no one in the middle of the 6-yard box making the run to the near post in order just to steer it home. And Akpom did that yesterday, and I would probably, even though Matasiwa got the man of the match in the stadium, and I thought Akpom played really well for all the things you just said. He was athletic. He pressed really well. He scores. I think he had the most completed passes of anyone who played 45 minutes in the match. So he made his presence known. Ivan does that, but you don't feel like there's the goal threat there. We keep saying this all the time. I mean, and I probably agree with Leah. Whether or not Ivan would have scored that yesterday, I'm not 100% certain. I'd like to think he would have done. But that gets Chuba a goal at Pullman Road finally. Maybe there's a run of games. I wasn't sure whether or not he'd get a run of games. You've got to think another number 9 is going to be coming in January. So it'd be very interesting dynamic this time next month to see where we are. But Akpom was really good. But again, you're playing a team that's in a relegation zone. Akpom's played for Ajax. He's played in the Champions League. He should be a level above these defenders, which is one of the reasons why we keep moaning about our forward line, is because they haven't been able to raise themselves to the standard we think they should be. But yesterday, Akpom did. So it'll be interesting to see if he starts against Portsmouth on Sunday.
Yeah, agreed. George Beard was just putting it out there. He'd still like Flynn Downs. Lee, is that a signing you'd be in favour of? Should that be the way Ashton, Warren, and McKenna go?
I think it would be a good foil for Matasiwa if he get a good replacement if he gets injured. Do you know what? I wonder if we'll go back in for Hackney. That seems a long shot. McKenna's got history. This club has got history for going back in for players. Middlesbrough are doing really, really well. Don't get me wrong, and that might be he might think, we've got a chance of promotion here. Had Middlesbrough being mid-table, it's all ifs and buts. I think we'd go back in for him. I'm sure the money's there.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I just wonder if I wonder.
That seems more likely than Downs. That seems more likely than Downs. But I mean, like we saw last season, the reason we didn't sign Downs is because Southampton didn't want to sell to a relegation rival in the Premier League. Are you going to see Middlesbrough sell to promotion rival in the Championship? I think it's unlikely, really. And this is, it's money you can't turn down.
Well, if the price is right, if the price is something that they can agree on, then
the price is right. Even Ronaldo left Man United for Real Madrid, didn't he? Yeah.
Absolutely. I just question, having stayed in the summer with the two football clubs where they are currently, whether the player once again decides he's better off staying put and then addressing his options in the summer, be that if Ipswich Town are promoted, do they come back in for me? If they do, that's a Premier League coming back in for me now, as opposed to a Championship club currently 1.2 points ahead of me. Could be another club in the Premier League coming in for him in the summer. I just don't see the player opting to move in this window with Middlesbrough sat where they are.
Yeah, it seems unlikely.
Chance to do what they can do, because if they don't, and he hopes they do if he stays, but if they don't, there's going to be a 2 or 3, you'd have thought, Premier League clubs certainly interested in Middlesbrough's midfield player Hayden Hackney. So I want him. I'd like him to be a Town player. I just don't think it's something that's going to happen in this window.
Plus Borough fans have got exactly the same expectation as we have, finishing top 2. What message does that send to their fan base as they go into January? They've sold probably their best player to us.
Yeah.
So I just don't see it. On paper, great. If only we'd got him in the summer, really, but then maybe Creech, they wouldn't have come back then.
Well, somebody said to me, I think it was you, Lee, last week. I think it's a Match Reaction show. I think it was. Had we got Hackney, you seem to believe that we would have gone still in for Jens Kajust.
I don't. Yeah, because the Kajust deal was on the card since the end of the season. I mean, we're a midfielder short, and I've just written this down. So we need a Flynn Downs type player if that's what we're going to go for. I think if Hackney was available, we'd still take him in because we can get away with if Matthew was out for a while. There's people that can play there. We have got Taylor and that. We are, we're not light, but in that area, if you bring someone in, he's not going to be as good as Matasiwa, I don't think, because we're getting him in January or whatever. So it depends what you're trying to bring in. But with Nunes, the golden boy at number 10 now, whether or not that's by design, default, or however that might be, that does leave us a little bit light. You wouldn't want to have to drop Nunes into the 2 midfield role because you're short of numbers. So I think Humphreys will go on loan, and I think we'll bring somebody in. And if it's somebody like Flynn Downs or of that stature and that type of player, then I'm all for it because you need that. And McKenna has said he said on occasions that he was going to play Matasiwa and Morsey together. He said that. He said that in an interview. I've seen the interview.
Defensive to me, that Lee.
Yeah, you are.
It's a bit defensive to me, that Lee.
He said that. I'll find that someone can use AI and find the interview. He said when he was asked about Morsey that Matasiwa wasn't brought in to replace him. He was there to play alongside him as well. Wow. But we're definitely a midfielder short on what we're doing. Who we can get in this transfer window, I don't know. But if Flynn Downs turns up, then absolutely fantastic. But I'm sure we're in for a midfielder, and I'm sure we're in for a striker.
And we know that McKenna and co liked Flynn Downs. We know that was a transfer that was rumoured on the cards, etc., etc. So in the world of, you mentioned we like to go back in for players we went in before. He obviously would fit that bill. You could of course question whether the dashboard is working correctly. If you keep going back for the same player, perhaps give it a little tap on the side of the monitor. When it's not working, or turn it on and off again.
Flynn is playing regularly for Southampton. 21 appearances this season.
I like Flynn Downs. If you said to me tomorrow, Flynn Downs, he's joining us or is rumored to join us, I wouldn't be against it. I think, but in terms of what you were saying, I don't disagree. I don't suggest you're wrongly. I'm sure McKenna did say that, but I just can't imagine a world, Matt, where you start like a Portman Road with Morsey and Matt Seawar in the same midfield. That's like a handbrake being slammed on.
I think there's more the likelihood of, if we were to go back for Downs, it seems more likely for Southampton. They're down in 14th. They're on 33 points. They're well behind us, aren't they, at the moment? 11 behind us. So that seems more likely. Hackney to Ipswich, whilst you're competing for the second spot of promotion at the moment, seems very unlikely to me. Downs seems more likely if it was to happen.
Jordan James, says somebody in the chat. Obviously, I like Jordan James. You like Jordan James.
Is he Leicester? Is he Leicester?
We've spoken about him in previous windows, haven't we? It's interesting to see what will happen.
Yeah. But he only moved to Leicester in the summer, did he not?
He did.
Yeah.
He's on loan, isn't he?
That seems unlikely to me as well.
This is it. We'll wait to see.
We'll wait and see. That's the excitement of the window, isn't it? In January, it's open. Let's see what happens. And ever since Game Changer came in, you get very little smoke, don't you, to see what's actually happening. Suddenly, it gets announced, doesn't it? So.
And in terms of players we went back in for, to go on that theme that Lee went on, obviously we left a couple of players or bids or rumours on the table in the summer. We had the centre half from the club escape.
Yes, from South America.
From South America. That
was random.
On, off. Is it
Mexican
on?
Lad. Mexican.
Was it Ruiz?
Yeah, that was it.
You had a couple of instances there where maybe they look to revive those deals. Now we're sitting in second, and you can perhaps sell it in terms of the vision of where we're getting to, where we want to go, and help us, help tip us over the line, if you like, and you'll be playing Premier League football in 6 months' time, or it'll be completely. Because Keith Moore kind of come from left field when he arrived. I don't think many I think it was one of those. Keith Moore might be on loan. Bournemouth. Not really getting much game time, but it wasn't one that if you'd sat down on January the 2nd and said, who do you want? A lot of town fans at that moment in time would have said, definitely get me Kiefer Moore.
Al Hamady was even more of a curveball than Kiefer Moore, I think. At least Kiefer Moore been at town. Do you know what I mean?
This is true. Yeah, this is it. All right, let's go to our likes and dislikes from yesterday. Don't forget we are partnered with Stowmarket Osteopaths, quality care since 1985. And as George said yesterday, that's over 40 years, Gov. I said, George, you're absolutely right. Over 40 years, 1985. Quality care in osteopath and physiotherapy services. Give them a call on 01449 613 633. Give Freddie, the governor at Stowmarket Osteopaths, a call on 01449 613 633. I go there myself, so I can testify that I do enjoy the service. Right, likes and dislikes from yesterday. What have we got, Matthew? Any likes and dislikes from me, sir?
Me and George's big like yesterday was Dara, 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 Cedric. That chant going. That just goes back to what you said earlier, wasn't it? That now just seems to be the partnership, doesn't it? And it looks very, very solid at Portman Road. When does Greaves get a look in? Is this the end of the left after 3 seasons or 4 seasons, whatever it is? We lost count now. Is this the end of the left centre back rotation? Because it feels like Dara and Cedric is the one. That's the defensive duo that has got us into second. So if it ain't broke, don't try to fix it. Do you know what I mean? But you never know, McKenna, do you? But we had, what was it yesterday? Four changes. But he seems to be leaving the centre half pairing alone at the moment, and long may that continue. I'd like to see a little bit more rotation between Davis and Greaves, really, because I don't know what you thought, Lee. Didn't get your take on it, but did you think you thought Greaves played really well against Coventry? Would you like to see that kind of rotation home and away?
He did. But I think if you're looking to go play forward and the style of play, would Greaves contribute to as many assists? We talk about the Philogene goal from yesterday. Would Jacob Greaves been able to get up the pitch and do that overlap and run?
Yeah,
I'm not sure he's got. I'm not sure his profile is enough to do that. He was fantastic the other night. Don't get me wrong, but you can often find that when you put a player in out of position, maybe for a couple of games, they can do. We use the phrase "do a job," but doing a job is different to doing it more. Week in, week out. If you want something defensively, you can bring Jacob Greaves off, and McKenna's not been renowned when he's got a full squad of keeping a centre back on the bench. But I think what we can now see is that centre back, if you had Greaves on, he can come on at a left. He can come on and do a left back job as well. Particularly if you want to shore something up late on. If you go back to the old Steve Whitten days when we used to pump the ball out to Steve Whitten on the right side, he'd header it on against a 2-foot left back. If you're in a game and you've got someone like Davis and he's up against someone who's 6'3" and they're pumping the ball out to him and he's getting done in the air, you've got that sort of option where you can bring on another centre back who can do a job at left back in that particular time of the game. So, yeah.
Here's the big question for you then, Gov and Lee. Ed Schwartz sat down in the fan forum, didn't he? There's money to spend in January. Are you now turning the Kipre loan into a permanent in January?
No.
I would be.
No, I'll let that play out. I'd let that play out, personally.
What, I'm risking going somewhere else? I mean, he's got the perfect relationship with Dara at the moment in that too. It's brilliant.
Oh, no, he has. Yeah, he has.
How much would he cost, do you think? 3, 4, 5 million?
The key point is here.
What are you doing?
The key point is he the answer if we get to the Premier League?
Well, he's got an obligation, isn't he? I believe in the loan deal that if Town are promoted, he will be signed permanently.
There's always an obligation. It seems.
So if that's the case, then
I've actually dreamed that. I could have dreamed that. I could have dreamed it, but I thought that was the case.
Well, there's 2 points to that. The first thing is, if there's no point to sign him now, because if we do get promoted, we can sign him. If we don't get promoted, we might want to look elsewhere, but I would doubt it. So there's no point signing him in January if we've got an obligation to buy at the end of the season. The only problem with that is if we don't go up and another team comes in for him.
Exactly that.
But I just wonder if, and you've said if there's an obligation to buy, then McKenna sees him as somebody that can play in the Premier League. But if he comes in as the Premier League, in the Premier League, then where does that leave Greaves? Because I think we would then look, can we bring somebody in better?
So
on top and then get rid of Greaves. I mean, that's all the conundrum. But
Kipre gives you the physicality that we were bemoaning last season, weren't we?
Yeah.
We were too small a side. We
Yeah.
didn't have the physicality to compete against Wolves, which is why they end up with double the points that we did eventually. Kipre brings you that. Need more Kipres. Sorry, Nate.
Well, yeah, potentially so. But look, if I'm right and there is an obligation, then obviously there will be you'd have thought, along with the obligation, a agreed fee, because it isn't going to be, I wouldn't have thought it's open-ended. We're going to sign this player upon promotion for any number of pounds that you suggest. So there'll be, if it is the case, there will be an agreed sum of which, when you're promoted, you will pay this much for this player.
Yeah.
If there is that obligation. Now, if there isn't, I still let it play out, because you've got this player under contract, albeit a loan contract, for the last part of the season. You can use those funds in an FFP world, in whatever financial projection model you're working to these days. They keep changing them every 5 minutes as it is. You can use that money elsewhere for other areas of a squad that need the love and TLC right this minute.
But you've got obligations in 3 players. That
You have.
Everyone in the comments here might not think he's good enough to go up into the Premier League. Ivan is on, Chuba, and Koste.
Well, that's the price you pay when you sign players on a loan deal with an obligation. Because if that player comes in and plays 10 games and can't get his way into the starting 11, and you get promoted, well, that's just tough, isn't it? That's the way it is. That's the risk you take when you sign players with an obligation. Regardless of whether they have or haven't in terms of Cedric Kipre. I like Kipre, really good defender, physicality, as you say, great partnership with Dara O'Shea. I just wait. I'll pump the brakes on that a little bit, see how the rest of the season plays out, and then you have to deal with the market, where the market falls. If there's no obligation, then of course there might be a number of teams in it for him. There might not be a number of teams in it for him. He might want to move here. He might not want to. In terms of other possible locations, you just wait to see.
It does beg the question, doesn't it? Who's keeping him out the side at Reims?
Again, go and sign him. Because again, he must be a very good player. Lee, any likes or dislikes from you, sir?
Well, I thought the way we approached the game, again, sounds I wrote really. I like the way we approached the game. I like the way Kajus played first half. If you look at the extended highlight reel, every single chance went through him. Every single chance.
Yeah, it did. Yeah, absolutely.
So, take that as you will and what you want. I've always been a fan of him. When you're, particularly in the games where you're looking to dominate the ball, you need that. And when you see him passing the ball with Egley and then you look at Nunes, there are ball players. They just look, they're just. Although it's like the pre-assist. I know you don't like pre-assists, man, but it's like the pre-assist. Someone's got to get you up. Someone's got to get you up the pitch. Someone's got to get the ball to Philogene for him to cut inside and score. Someone's got to get the ball to Leif Davis to knock it into the box. So you have to have. It's a team. It's an absolute team game, and so I thought his performance yesterday was a positive. I thought the way we approached the game. So we had one setback. They had one shot. I mean, that was the only time they went in the box, I think.
Really, well, they had a chance in the second half, didn't they?
They did. First half. Yeah, and I guess we'll come on to that. So I think we managed. So, we managed the game really well. Yes, it was a bit nervy. Yes, we should have scored more goals. But there's been games where we would have conceded that corner at the end. We got a bit lucky. The dislike was the way O'Shea got left 2-on-1 with that long punt. Where was Kipring? Where was Furlong? We would get done on that. Other games earlier in the season, we would have got done on the counter. And Oxford done us on the counter-attack at their place. Similar. We got stretched on numbers. So I think...
in very similar fashion as well.
Yeah. But they're only to limit a team to 2 chances. It doesn't matter where they are in the league. They're professional footballers. You're in the same league. You've got to give them respect. I thought we managed the game really well. So that was a real sort of positive for me.
Yeah, same as me. Same as that was also one of my likes, how we controlled the game, how we were all. I always felt like we were in complete control of the game. The scoreline was only 2-1, but it felt like there was always just this Town. It was like a boxer, just in control of the match, taking the opponent where you need to take them. When you need to go through the gears, we went through the gears. When there was times to put our foot on the ball, we'd put our foot on the ball and just manage it. And the only opportunity they had in the second half was, or feels like the only one they had, was that moment of aggressiveness from us where we get caught with Leif Davis, Jaden Philogene and Cedric Kipre after around 2 Oxford players, and they pump that ball long, which in turn leaves us 2v1 with Dara O'Shea, and the ball bounces. And is there an arm in the back? I don't know. I thought watching it live, there looked like there was, but I can't criticise any official for getting that wrong because the linesman was looking directly at O'Shea. You can't see through him. The referee, of course, is trying to come up with play from a long ball, but that ball bounces, goes over O'Shea, falls into the path. I think it's of Lancashire again, and he just flashes it. Or it may have been, no, it was their midfield player whose name escapes me. It wasn't Lancashire. Whoever it may have been, flashes it across the face of the goal, and we're lucky there because, as you say, previous weeks or monthly, you could have potentially gone 2-2, and then who knows, because you give them confidence in the game, and that's the only time when Oxford really came alive. Following the goal, we gave them some belief and confidence, and they came alive for a period. That moment, they came alive again for a period, but I think we controlled it again. Once again, the things we saw away at Millwall in terms of the game control, the things we saw away at Coventry, that is certainly a side of the game that we are getting much better at, is that how we control the game, how we keep the opponent within range of what we want to do, move through gears, but ultimately just control how the course of the 90 minutes goes. And that was really the opportunity. That was my one like and dislike, just how aggressive we were 2-1 up inside the second half, just to leave us that 2v1 match.
That was a dislike for me, the second half. We did this against Sheffield Wednesday. It's heavy weather. We could easily have dropped 2 points yesterday. As Lee rightly says, they get the corner at the end. You're giving them an opportunity to snatch.
The corner didn't beat the first man, did it?
That doesn't matter. We've conceded the corner against a better side.
Mark Hudson in charge of set pieces, Matt. We're relaxed.
Oh, right. He's your main man now, isn't he? Yeah. We didn't start. I didn't think we started the second half particularly very well. It was certainly seemed to be a level, a gear below how we'd finished the first half. Like we say, we'd scored twice in the first half. And George was saying, put these sides to the sword. Nunes has chances, doesn't he? He's got the free kick. Kuste has a chance. It should have been more, really. And, we'd have all been sat here kicking ourselves, thinking if they'd scored right at the death, you've dropped 2 points, you're not in the top two. It's been a very different narrative, isn't it? As it was, we did see the game out. So, I mean, that's all, that's all what could have happened. But against better sides, but then again, against better sides like Coventry, we've taken them to the cleaners.
Yeah.
So I would just like to see Ipswich just put their stamp a little bit more. Certainly in the second half, they're 2-1 up. Go 3, go 4-1. Just underline it. Don't be riding it by the seat of your pants at the end. Oh, they've got a corner in the 93rd minute. They could have sent the keeper up. Nerve-wracking times. There's lots.
Give yourself some breathing space, right? When you're in control, give yourself some breathing space. We've got a $9.99 super sticker from MPR 26V. Appreciate your MPR. Appreciate the support. Thank you ever so much. And of course, we've got Lynn Phillips, who's been a member for 20 months. Lynn, thank you so much for your continued support of the platform. Hopefully you're enjoying the members only videos. There's more coming this evening. Lambeth's Tactics Trucks on the way. We've got trending up, trending down. And I've got a set piece in the old Tactics Truck this week, Matt, because it didn't result in a goal. It resulted in a clearance off the line from a Dara O'Shea header. That would have been your third goal, by the way. That would have been your breathing space. But that was a fantastic set piece. And I had to go and watch it again, and I had to sort of break it down.
Look at this, look. We've got the Mark Hudson fan club here now, Lee. Who would have thought such a thing? Who would have thought such a thing?
Yeah, it's a partnership, right? It's creativity and it's execution. The creativity may have been simple in terms of what you drew on the whiteboard, but the execution of that set piece was exceptional. And I love it. I love it. Don't mean my set pieces. I love set pieces.
The set pieces will go up even more when Connor's back in the town shirt this month.
Oh, here we go. All right, get the pound out. Get it in the pot. Yeah. Connor Chaplin mentioned. Look,
that race is run. That race is run. That race is run.
It isn't with Matt. Matt's only just started. January the 2nd. So we missed it about 8 times. Yeah. And that's just the ones you've seen. Absolutely. Any more likes and dislikes before we close for the evening? Don't forget we are live again Sunday. Match reaction. Portsmouth upcoming. Then live again Monday evening. We break that one down in more detail as we go through a similar format as to how we've just done.
Another one of my likes was probably, I don't know if I can't remember if you mentioned this or not, Lee. Was Nunes again? He created the most chances in the game. I mean, it's the conundrum, isn't it, of the 10. At the moment, he's playing 10 because no one else can really play that to the level that he's doing, which shows you why he's such a good player. But on another day, like we say, he sets up Furlong for the run, the cross. Akpom scores. He gets the keeper makes a decent save. I mean, you was above that, weren't you, Lee? Calls that over the wall. Had another one that probably nearly knocks your coffee out of your hand. But whilst Nunes is on form, always seems to be in the second half. When he's on form, Ipswich are on song, I think. And the game opens up.
The game opens up for him, doesn't it? There's more space second half. That's just naturally happens in the games. And you've got him and Egley, and you've got all your ball players on. And then you bring like Jack Clark on, and it's like, if you're the defenders, you're thinking, oh my God.
He's not a 10. He's not a 10, is Jack Clark.
Well, we saw that.
But he'll do that. He'll do that in the game. Yeah, he doesn't do it the way Nunes does it, but you wouldn't want him. You wouldn't want him buzzing around the top of your 18-yard box, would you? I wouldn't want him there. And depends who you bring on.
McKenna was obviously telling us that he can vary it up and he's not as predictable as we thought. Who thought Clark was going to play the 10?
No, he was showing how way thin his squad is.
Then Taylor plays it, doesn't he? Then Taylor comes in and plays that role.
But he soon changed it. You're right. He soon realised actually this is not quite working the way I thought it would work. So I'm going to move Taylor.
You're saying there's a gap in the 10 role.
I think yesterday's substitution really did, and I said on the Match Reaction show, really did highlight how thin you are in that area. You know, I'm not going to say what happens if who gets a knock because I don't want to bring that into the universe. So I'm not even going to say it, right? No. But your current player who's there, if he does, you got Akpom up front, or you may play Akpom in the 10, then Azon up front. But who's your number 10 coming in off the bench? In this case, it obviously be Jack Taylor based on what happened yesterday, because Jack Clark is a great player, a good player out wide. But I just felt in that 10 position, it just didn't work with him in there for a number of different reasons. So you are thin. Now, do you go and get a striker to allow Akpom to be your 10, or do you say, actually, I'm quite happy with Akpom and Azon as my 2 strikers? You go get a 10. Do you get both? These are the avenues that they've got to explore. I'm not involved, unfortunately. If we would, we'd be signing quality players.
You're seeing it in the in-game tactics, aren't you?
Yeah.
Exactly what you're saying there. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Put Cam on the bench, says Beard, and let him try. That's an interesting one. That you mentioned that at the statue yesterday, the Beard. And
well, what's the point of loaning Cam Humphreys? He's either going to be a Town player or he's not. I mean,
he's a captain. You said
they loved him. Well, yeah, exactly that. But as you rightly said, the development of the club has now surpassed the players' talent level. Yeah. I mean, he was superb at Wickham. Let me go off and play at Wickham. Maybe Wickham can sign him. It just feels like he's in no man's land with us at the moment. And if we get to the Premier League, he ain't going to feature there either, is he? So it just seems to be delaying the inevitable to me. But I do like Cam Humphreys. I think he's really good. I love his attitude. I think he's a Matt Holland in the making. But Ipswich is the rocket. It's the rocket being built mid-flight, isn't it? And maybe he's just the level below that.
Good evening, Mr. Ashton. I didn't know you were with us.
Hello there.
Lee, anything else before we close?
Nothing else from me.
Excellent. Don't forget, you can get that wonderful piece of merch that Matt is sporting on the show in our Etsy store, Talking Town Threads. 20% off if you're a member, 10% if you're not. And
Pride of Anglia.
Sorry?
Pride of Anglia, it says on this jumper.
I'd say Pride of Anglia because we are the Pride of Anglia. But yeah, you're 20% off if you're a member. It's one of the many perks and thank yous you get from myself, including the extra videos, member first videos, and of course our Discord. You become a member by hitting the join button on YouTube, which will talk you through all the perks on there, or head into Ko-Fi. The QR code's on the screen next to the Ko-Fi banner. Just scan the QR code or head to kofi.com/TT Crew for more information. But if you are a member, do check out those new videos coming out very shortly. But for now, we are done. We are dusted. Do join us again live on Sunday when we are breaking down what is hopefully another 3 points. There'll be a match preview in between then as well. I'll sandwich that in somewhere, somehow, some way. So stick with us here. Hit the subscribe button. But until then, Oasis superfan Lee Anderson, media mogul Matthew Phillips, but more importantly, you, all of you at home, live or on catch up. We can't do it without you. We appreciate you. Thanks for joining us. Here is to a great 2026. Take care. God bless. You've reached the end. Thank you so much for watching. Hit here to subscribe. It's totally free. And hit here for more Talking Town videos. I'll see you on the next one.